I've been through the rain, I've been through the storm, I've been through the pain, and it's hard to stay calm. Yeah, I bet the sun gon' shine on me. It's gonna shine. I bet the sun gon' shine on me. It's gonna shine. I've been through the rain, I've been through the storm, I've been through the pain, and it's hard to stay calm. Yeah, I bet the sun gon' shine on me. It gonna shine. I bet the sun gon' shine on me. It gonna shine. All of the pain inside, it's hard to let the shit ride. Homicide, why they take my nigga life? Seems I got some shit with my family, I'm trying to get it right. 2 daughters, 2 mother, 2 family, that's right. This the shit I live for, I keep that shit they kill for. Try to kill my spirit, yeah, my music what I heal from. Keep that weed coming, cause I ain't trying to feel nothing. That shit broke my heart when I caught my cousin stealing some. Tell me why me, when I'm really trying to build some. There's some young niggas, little bitches set me up, huh? Should've killed them niggas since then, I done triple boy. Probably 25 to life, I pull it from my hip, yeah. I've been through the rain, I've been through the storm, I've been through the pain, and it's hard to stay calm, yeah. I bet the sun gon' shine on me. It's gonna shine. I bet the sun gon' shine on me.
Yo, what's good, beautiful people? Welcome to In God We Trust Academy podcast. As always, appreciate each and every last one of you for tuning in and vibing out with us. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. We'll give y'all a few minutes to get in here. And we're going to get started. Got a good hour with y'all right quick. Share some good information.
And you can't tell me life can't transform. And you can't tell me that I ain't the one. I done took blows from friends and family. I done made money with friends and family. When you get broke, just watch it and handle it. It's time to ride. And niggas ain't down for you. Find that fire and then you start racking. You find that plug and then you start stacking. And niggas is robbing. You better stay packing. Ain't doing no talking, just know it's by action. Saying you love me, give me expression. We don't take pleas, ain't doing no confession. Nationality, I swear it's a blessing. Knowing I'm a king and I got the recipe. Give me the keys. You know I'm gonna run it too far in the game. Ain't doing no front. Let's get to this money. You coming, little mama. LRP and we way up in God. I've been through rain, I've been through the storm, I've been through the pain, and it's hard to stay calm. Yeah, I bet the sun gon' shine on me.
Yes, sir.
I bet the sun gon' shine on me. It's gonna shine. I've been through the rain.
Where y'all tuning in from, man? Let me know where you're tuning in from. Drop some ones. If you're new here, welcome. The message that you hear to hear today is literally for you. God, the almighty source, the universe itself, does not make any mistakes, guys. So just know if this falls upon your ears today, then this was definitely meant for you to be able to hear. Everything that you guys hear from this point on is for educational, religious purposes only. Anybody seeking any form of legal advice, please do seek a legal advisor, as it is my religious duty to speak my religious experience and truth with you guys. For that, I must tell you some things today. What's up, Mr. Bishop? I gotta call you today. I'll hit you up when I get on the road here in about another hour. But man, today is the resource of the Strawman. We're gonna talk about a few things with you guys when it comes to, well, who you are. And to some of you guys, this may be repetitive, but that's okay. Repetition is the key. You need to lock your mind into what really is going on. As for sure, we also got work sessions tonight. So we'll be in work sessions tonight. Just so you guys know that part, right? All right, so on this journey, guys, you've heard a lot about Strawman and discharging debt and I guess a lot of things, right? You've heard a lot of different things. Okay? So what is it that we can do? What is it that we can do? What is it that we know about this particular system today? And I think that we really need to do a full breakdown of it, of what it's about, as I always like to start the class off like that, because it puts you in the mind frame of your position and making you aware of who and what you are in this particular situation, right? Here's the situation for you as of right now. If you do not know this about yourself, you were born one day, and you were born in the republic state on the soil of whatever republic state, right? And that right there gives you what you call right of soil. And it makes you have a permanent allegiance to whatever particular state. And that makes you a state national first. So your allegiance is to the state. So you have all of these people who gathered together and decided to form a social compact. And the social compact is established as for a free and independent government, able to fully govern itself and declare its independency, right? And those social compacts of states, which the people developed, became a body of politics. And those body of politics literally declared to form a union. And that union was literally declared to be in the federal government as the United States of America, right? And since that has taken place and everyone is a part of this union now, all states are, right? That means now there are literally two forms of jurisdiction. So we have the federal jurisdiction and we have the state jurisdiction, right? And then so on, so on, so on from there, all right? Whether it's municipals and stuff like that, okay? And when you were born again, your mother did some things which created an estate/trust with the actual state, right? And like I said to you guys last night, the easiest way to prove that is just literally if someone was to transition all of their belongings or anything that they have a title into, etc., it's literally declared and being held by the state, and the state is ready to probate if they do not have a trust or if they do not have some form of will. And a lot of places, a lot of wills have to be probated through the state as well. But my point of me saying that is that lets you know that there is literally a trust and a Sestakeva trust that exists, right? And in 1666, there was Sestakeva Act that it was established by the British Parliament, right? And it was literally designed to manage property of those presumed dead, lost at sea, allowing the state to hold their estate in trust until proven alive. So what this means is it's like, because messages travel fast today. So it's nothing for me to get on here and send a message clean across to Europe somewhere to somebody on Facebook, TikTok, whatever, even phones now today, quick phone call, FaceTime, whatever. So we can easily know how soon someone has passed or whatever the case may be, right? But still, some people still just don't want to be found, and they literally become presumed dead after so many years. But my point in this is why they created that, because people were not coming back, and when they didn't come back for whatever choice, some died, some built other families, other places, and things of that nature, and they just never came back. So they left the property literally out of order. So, and the property could not be transferred or anything of that nature, right? So they decided to create this little this Sestakeva Act, right? And it was literally just in case that if whoever doesn't come back, that they're able to give this particular estate to the next of kin or whoever it may be, and it creates what you call a beneficiary for the trust. So Sestakeva means he for whose life the trust is held. Okay, so one of the key elements is you got the grantor, the grantee, and the trustee, which is going to be the government in the situation. The grantor, which is the parent, acting as an informant as well. And you got the beneficiary, which is the child, and also the legal fiction, okay? And then the state held in trust until the living man or woman comes and claims it, right? And the only way to literally go about claiming your estate is operating through trust, because it shows that you are literally operating alive and on that particular matter. But if you just choose to operate with the straw man itself, then it's just going to be as if you are still presumed dead. And once you start moving everything into your own trust and you control everything for yourself, then it's like they know that you are here as the living, and your word, even your word, is considered the living word and must be carried out according to the declarations of trust as well, right? But they also find ways to take this and use this against you because a lot of you had no idea about this, right? So the grantor is literally the mother and father. You got the trustee, which is the actual state, and the state's registrar is the one who literally stands on that at first. Then you got the beneficiary, which comes back to the legal fiction, and then you got the rest, which is the trust property. Now, what is the trust property in this? Well, guess what? It is your future labor, identity, and economic value of the child, which is what I like to call your human capital, your source, uh, your source data, and things of that nature, right? Because that is the property that is being held within this trust. It's all of the energy and everything that you're going to do, right? So once they do this, you get a birth certificate. The birth certificate declares that you have an obligation. Well, not even you. It declares the issuer has an obligation to you. And the issuer is the state. The state has an obligation to perform the Constitution to the T, right? According to the state national, and fully protect all of the state national rights when asserted. I keep saying that, when asserted. Yes, you can know you have rights, but if you don't know how to assert the right, then it's nothing for them to actually do. And then you got to understand that those rights are literally retained by the people. So if it's retained by the people, it must be asserted by the people. And if the people do not assert the right, then they absolutely waive the right or choose not to literally act upon it, right? So you have to understand that now. It also gives you a stock, right? Because you yourself are considered a stock in the state. All right. And this stock itself, okay, is also being held on the federal level as well, because this stock is being held on the federal level because it also deals with the International Monetary Fund, right? So you got to understand that, how all of this works together. Okay. So each country has its people listed as stock, and you can consider it livestock, however you want to choose to call it, but you have to truly understand why. And why is this so? Okay. Because the country or states, etc., literally move themselves into a corporate position. And since we are now dealing with debt instruments, then now that means that the United States itself, the federal government, started operating as a corporation. And that means all of the states, in order for them to start dealing with commercial paper, they had to do the exact same thing, which is why you can do a search on DUNS numbers of the states, the courts, and those things of that nature, because they are into trading securities, and those securities just happen to be the bonds and the surety bonds of that is connected to the people's energy, etc. Right? And they literally create these things, and they sit and place them into your forms of trust that is being held by the state, and they value those things in trust. Everything has to have a value in trust, right? So you have to know that, right? So the certificate itself becomes the title document of the state held in the state's jurisdiction. So now, birth certificate is a form of a registered security. Okay? So in 31 CFR 363, individuals must have a birth record to open a Treasury Direct account, a system that tracks government securities. And in the federal system, the birth certificates are monetized as collateral under what is functionally a public trust. Okay, so now, based upon how many nationals that are within these particular states is how much government funding is going to be issued. Based upon how many nationals that is in the United States is how much the International Monetary Fund is going to fund this particular government. So it just trickles down all the way from the UN, the IMF, all the way into the federal government, from the federal government on into the state government, so on. And all of this is done through the centralized banking, which is known as the Federal Reserve Banks, right? So this is how it pretty much goes. So now you got the natural person, which is yourself, and the natural person is the resource of the legal fiction. Okay, you are the property, the trust property that is that is literally being transferred. So that means that every contract that you guys go and do, that particular energy coming from their source, okay, the resource of the human that the straw man has, okay, and you are the authorized representative of this as after acting as a co-trustee if you have not transferred it to your trust. But here you are transferring that particular energy into these particular contracts, right? And giving it value. And that value becomes into fruition based upon the backing of the contract, which is, well, the human resource that was transferred into it. That is exactly what happens, because once you start placing obligations and everything like that that needs to be performed, that can only be performed by the actual human resource, which is yourself, right? So in Roman law principle, naming a legal fiction, you got to understand that it confirms legal naming distinction under trust principles in Ray versus Berry, right? So the all caps on the birth certificate is part of the estate name as well. So it represents two things you have to know. And most of these things that is coming out of the United States has a form of an elastic meaning, right? It means one, like you got an elastic currency, okay? It has two different type of meaning to it, right? Also, the international confirmation is the UN Convention on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights and International Monetary Fund, accounting each citizen is value producing entity all over the whole world, right? So the U.S. issues CUSIP numbers for tracking securities tied to government obligations, and the birth certificate becomes a reference document in this process because it's connected to you. So based upon how much energy that you go and create in this economical world is what they're going to based upon this stock. So you are a stock that they're waiting to see the intrinsic value grow within this stock, which is based upon you and the business that you go and carry out in this particular world, right? So the U.S. Department of Commerce, which is the Bureau of Economic Analysis, and the IMF, Sovereign Accounting Manual, use the term human capital asset. I keep telling you. Human capital asset. They literally use that term, human capital asset. So what is the human capital asset of every country? It's based upon the amount of people. That's the reason why they give birth certificates, because they're claiming their stock. This is our stock. This is this country's stock. This is this state's stock. And it belongs to us. And this is the value of what we have here. Okay? So now, under the Holy Trinity Church versus the United States, it acknowledged the difference between living men and artificial persons created by statute. U.S. versus Washington also explains that the birth certificate creates legal persons that the state governs, distinct from the actual living being itself, right? And they do, because they have to create statutory provisions for these economical reasons that's going to happen. And Bond versus United States confirmed that individuals retain private right not extinguished by the government-created legal fictions as well, right? So there can be a separation between you and the actual legal fiction. And in order to do that, you need to literally just make the separation. In order to make the separation, then, well, create a trust. Create a trust and literally remove everything from this particular legal fiction and transfer all of its property, tangible and intangible. And that also means the human resource that it holds, which is you. Place it into a trust, right? So the state creates a trust. The birth certificate contains all elements of a trust instrument. The legal name is a fiction, and it's also used in court cases, etc., which you get to trademark this particular name. And the state holds the title in the registrar's records as well. The child is the actual beneficiary, and the estate is managed in social systems until legal majority or actual rebuttal. So now the estate is monetized, right, on the IMF reporting, the CAFR accounting, the CUSIP tracking, and also in Treasury direct ID requirements as well. So you can literally see the path of how this is actually happening for you and to you. But again, this is not something that is common knowledge known to the people. It's not taught in school. You weren't told that, hey, you are considered a stock. You're a stock of the United States, okay? Now, within the United States, you're a stock of the state. On a broad international level, then you are a stock of the United States federal government itself, right? But here's the thing, the stock relies on you. So they're just waiting on you to claim you, right? Claim your energy is what you have to know how to do. So let's take that resource because you are the resource that drives this. Without human resource, then there is nothing this country could do. It would fall flat on its face and it would be nothing because it does not have the energy, the resource that backs it. And that is literally the people. So you got to truly start understanding your status and position. Now, some things I spoke to you on is based upon the private citizen, your rights to exercise any and all of your rights and must be protected by the Constitution when asserted. All right, that is the private side of dealing with you as the private national citizen of the actual state or whatnot, right? But then you also have the commerce side of things, which you have to really dive into and start understanding because everything about you can literally be valued. They valued it. They already valued it. They value as human capital. So human capital itself is basically, and a lot of people like to say, oh, they collected souls, etc. But truth is, like, I don't really like to get caught up in all of that because I feel like you can never take something that already belongs to God. It's like a slap in the face to literally think that you can give away something that already belongs to God. So it's not a soul that they could ever take. Not one. They can't take a soul. You know what I'm saying? So when you start looking at it from this point, now let's capture this energy. We know our constitutional rights, right? So now let's use it. Let's use it to our perfection. And the only way to use that to our perfection is, number one, let's establish trust. And I tell people to do the exact same thing you see the government do. What did the government do? It established public trust. All right. It established the Declaration of Independence. Your Declaration of Trust is a form of Declaration of Independence, saying that you're going to formally handle all of your affairs yourself according to these particular rules, right? So now that Declaration of Trust is just like almost a constitution. Basically, it tells the trustees, which is the same thing as the public servants, what they can do, right? Okay, into the rights and interests of the property of the actual people or the grantor of this actual trust. And it's basically given for the benefit of another, which are the posterity. Same thing with the Constitution. It's literally established by the people for their posterity, which is the future generations to come. Okay? And now those people right now have a right and interest in the use of things, but however still do not own them, right? So we can't own really anything. The only thing that you have a right and ownership of is your own conscious divine mind. Even this body you have to give back eventually, right? So this is a trust relationship all the way around. It starts with the trust relationship, even with your divine self. So now let's open that up to a further, right? So now you got all of this energy and resource that's about yourself that needs to be valued. Everybody always like, well, how do I fund the trust? What do I fund the trust with? I don't have any money. See, you guys think about money as in the wrong way because anything could literally be money because it's just a conversion. Money is just equivalent to that which you accept it for. So that means that if you go put $50,000 down for, you get $50,000 for a car, then that means that the car was equivalent to $50,000 cash. So it's just really just a conversion. You can convert things or monetize. We'll use the word monetization, right? So money could be anything. And the fact that everything that goes into the trust has to be valued. First, let's value ourselves. Okay? Let's value ourselves. So let's take that birth certificate, which is a representation of all of the estate property, which is the human resource that is backing this legal fiction. Let's take it and place it into trust. And once we place it into trust, oh man, this changes everything. Okay? So we can literally take it, place it into the trust immediately, give it a value, and we can value everything about it. Fingerprints, hair, urine, blood. I mean, you name it. Your intellectual property about yourself as well. Okay. Now we're going to also, if you want to trademark the name itself, but also you can do a conveyance of the name, right? Do a conveyance of the name into the trust and literally make a full claim and ownership over it as well. You can do that. Also, do what you consider a common law copyright as well. Works just as great. But you also can put it on the record as a trademark. So now we're going to take, after we do that, we can take that and place a conveyance on our signatures, autographs as well, and the print of your name, right? And then you can literally give it an assignment of value, okay? Give it a value. Literally place it into the trust. Now that is considered the trust property, right? Do we have to do anything specific to the BC before conveying it into that trust? No, there's nothing you got to do. It just is. It's already a title that you hold. It's a title that the legal fiction hold, and the legal fiction is holding a title to the human resource, the human resource energy that you hold. So you can literally transfer that, which I call human capital. All right, human capital. And as you just learned, well, they also talk about human capital, right? Or they call it the human capital asset when it comes to the International Monetary Fund. So start thinking about that. That's exactly what they call it. Human capital assets. Okay. And the accounting manuals, that is what they consider that all countries are having is human capital asset. So it's really nothing that you have to do to it. Just transfer it. And there you go. Now the actual trust has all rights and interests to it to fully develop it in the way that you may see fit. Now, commercial, we must think like merchants because now we know that there is a commercial side of things and commerce, everything is based upon presumption. So that's why everything has to be fully disclosed in business. And number one rule in business is communication. So we need to make sure that it's written and expressed. So let's write it and express it, right? Through conveyance. And also now we're going to do what you call a security agreement. And that security agreement is us making the trust literally giving consideration. And the consideration of the trust is based upon the administration, the protection of the estate, and the forms of suretyship as well, okay? That is the value and consideration of what it's going to give, right? And the straw man has to give all of its collateral, anything that it will consume over its period of time of life, right? And that goes for intangible and tangible property, right? Real estate, any property you can think of, all of it is going to be held in collateral. So what that does is now nobody else has a claim over this estate except for the state. The state has a claim over it by default until you literally start governing yourselves through trust. And now you're making that claim for your trust, bringing it out of the public trust into the private trust. And now it's being declared that all of this human resources is now being used within this particular trust. So now you do the security agreement, declare first and right, first in time. What does that mean for you? And it means so much, right? It means a lot. Now, is this really status correction? I don't like to call it status correction because I don't really believe in that term anymore because it's just really you having knowledge of self and knowing your position within the United States. Now, I kind of went through a little fast, but for the most part, I broke it down to you in a manner that you can know exactly who you are in this particular situation, right? So your trust can be looked at as the kingdom. You are the king. You set the rules through declaration of trust, through your contracts, security agreements, etc. We file the UCC-1 and we make the claim. The trust is a secure party creditor. The debtor is the straw man itself. And the collateral is literally pretty much a lot of different things that we would list inside of it. And there we go. We have the first in right, first in time. So that literally means from this point on, past, present, and future. Past, present, and future. Why? Because there's nobody that has ever laid a claim on the estate and the energy of the estate. So now your energy has been applied. in all of these contracts with the utility place, cell phones, your car, auto loans, mortgages, like you name it. That energy, that property has been been placed everywhere into these particular contracts. So now that you own that energy, well, not you, your trust owns that energy. You as the trustee are just in control over it now. So it's your duty as the trustee to literally go and protect the trust assets, right? So we have to go leverage that. So now we get to pop up to these particular corporations and company and say, hey, you're using trust property. And since you are using trust property, I fully need you to literally make compensation. And here's the invoice, and here's a notice of security interest, and a cease and desist letter until you fully pay the interest to the trust, right? Now, remember, everything in the trust has to have value and consideration. Has to be. No way around it, okay? So let's say if it's a mortgage, you can literally go to the mortgage company, show proof that the name and et cetera, and all the energy that has been placed into this particular contract belongs to the trust, and the trust can show legal title. Guess what? There's nobody else out here that has a legal title to the human resource. Nobody. That's just like if you was to go work for an employer. As soon as you go sign up, what you're doing is you're negotiating your human capital, which is labor, the energy, for some amount of money. You're going to convert it, monetize it, right? But it's the straw man that is taking its property, which is the human resource, and then it's saying, hey, that I'll let you use my property, which is the human resource, for this amount, okay? So there you go. That is exactly how you need to operate. So how does this apply to everything else that we got going on? Even when it comes to court cases, anytime that you all court cases create bonds, all right? Because the statutory all come with some type of, if you do something, break statutory law, it's considered in the form of criminal prosecution. So if it's a criminal prosecution, that means that, number one, we have a right to an impartial jury trial. This is the private side of things. Well, kind of. We're going to say the private side for the citizen. The impartial jury, you have a right to that. So it's your duty to assert that right, because that right is retained by the people. So you must know how to walk in a courtroom and fully exercise the court in order to receive the remedy that you want. But not only that, now that's just one side of it. Now we got to deal with the commercial side of it, because it's dealing with the human resource energy that we have claimed and that we have laid claim to. So now if they're taking the name and they take that name and they're going to use the name, and now we have to go about doing one particular thing. And that thing that we have to do is protect the trust interest. So the trust needs to show legal title as well. Okay? That we need to show legal title, and if we show the legal title, then we can also show that we have the highest claim along with the security agreement and the UCC1, because we have perfected our claim. So now we're saying that any bonds that has been created within this particular setting, okay, any bond that has been created in this particular setting using the property of the trust has an interest here in these particular proceeds, right? Any dividends, interest, and principal payouts that comes from this particular account, which these court cases are accounts, it belongs. So now we need to send a notice of security interest. We can send it to the clerk. We can send it to the comptroller. We can send it to the treasurer of the city or county, or even if it's a state matter, to the state treasurer as well. We're just letting them know, hey, we have a interest here, right? Now, of course, you go into the court, and through affidavit, you declare that they do not have the power to give full due process of law. There's an impartial jury. There's no impartial jury, and this violates your right to due process, right? So you have to use the state constitution, and as well as the U.S. Constitution as well. You use the 14th Amendment that binds the states to due process of law. right? So that's the public side of things. And we're going to also enter in a motion to dismiss and a motion to intervene. And the motion to intervene is coming from the trustee, not the trust. You cannot put the trust down as a motion to intervene, because if you do, that means you're going to have a lawyer, right? Because it's a legal fiction. But you, as the trustee, can come in and represent on behalf of the trust, because it is your duty and obligation. So now that means we do a motion to intervene. We can show a certificate of trust showing that the trustee has, or we can show the affidavit of fiduciary standing as well. We can put that in, or just minutes, resolutions coming from the actual trust showing that the trustee has the power to do exactly what it's doing. And then we give the legal title in this motion to intervene to show that, we have a right or interest in this particular case based upon this event using trust property, right? So that's the first stage that we could do. Now we took care of both the private side and the public side of things. The public side is going through court. The private side is us representing the actual trust and the trust property. Now, that right there is literally how you need to learn how to operate on a daily basis, even when it comes to banks, okay? Even when it comes to banks, because all of the money that you're depositing in these banks, literally, well, there's equity in it, but you did an interest-bearing account, and then that equity, if you go read your contract for opening up the checking accounts and stuff that you did, it's telling you that it's going to give you a certain amount of interest a year or whatever the case may be for using your particular money, right? So you agree to that. In order for you to fully get out of that, because they can take literally $100 you deposit and they can create 1,000. That leaves a $900 in equity. So a $900 in equity, and you get only 25 cents of that, maybe 30, if that. No, we ain't even gonna say that. Out of that, you're probably gonna get 1 cent. Okay. So when you look at it from that standpoint, how do you change it? Well, we have to understand how to do and operate through trust, because remember, anything that belongs to trust has to have value. It is trust property. And if anybody takes any form of property and they use it, okay, and they go and create and make interest, make money, whatever the case may be, and now they owe the trust that particular form of interest. Only if the trustee asserts that right, though. The trustee has to assert that right. Okay? It has to assert the right. All right? So start moving in that light. Start moving in that light. Now, if the money belongs to the trust, everybody likes to talk about special deposits. There is no such thing as a special deposit if you have already opened up a checking account with the individual Strawman, because now you've already agreed. Anything that goes into that's being a trust account is special deposits. It's an automatic special deposit. Okay, so let's fully understand that. So that means now it belongs to the trust property. It's trust property. Now, if they take trust property, the bank takes it and use it. Now the trust has an equitable interest into it. But there's a certain clause that you have to place also into your trust, right? You want to be able to place a certain clause in your trust. Okay? We have to do that. And that certain clause that we want to say is based upon the use of the notice of terms and conditions of deposit. So you want to place a term like that, a clause like that into your trust declaration. Because what happens is the banks are going to ask you for either your full declaration of trust or a certificate of trust. Some ask for the full because they want to know exactly what they're getting themselves into, because once they open up their trust account, that account and those who are governing that account are all operating according to the declaration of trust. So that means they are bound to it. They have to fulfill all obligations that the trust says. So now, if we say the nature of deposits is all deposits made into this account, whether in forms of cash, check, wire transfer, or other negotiable instruments, shall be deemed a value contribution in the course of a commercial transaction and not a donation or transfer of ownership to the bank. Said deposits represents lawful consideration in credit instruments originating from the trust entity named above, right? So we can say the depositing party hereby retains full equitable interest in commercial credit or securities created, generated, leveraged, or monetized from said deposit. No waiver of rights is implied or expressed unless made in writing and signed by the authorized representative. So we can literally just say, okay, well, we'll say 40%. We want 40% of any and all interest that has been created from using your deposits. And that goes from promissory notes. If you go do a promissory note right now at some place and you deposit, especially if you use the trust and the trust does a deposit itself, then now they owe 40% of the money that they create off fractional reserve to the particular trust. That's considered equity and it's part of common law. But here's the thing, you guys have to understand how to exercise that. Because once they accept the trust, what does the law say? Article 1, Section 10, the state cannot create any laws impairing the obligations of contract. So what that contract is what it says. And if you was to ever go to court and they was to ever see that the notice and terms and conditions was placed into it, then they literally have to deliver based off that alone. So you really want to be able to do that and move in that way as well. Okay. Now, that's just dealing with the bank. But remember, when we do this, we can literally now go and file a UCC with the bank, right? Well, and what we do is we got to understand the bank itself. Well, who is the bank? What is the bank? The bank is going to be the debtor. Do we understand that? The bank is the debtor. Okay. The bank will be the debtor. And why is the bank the debtor? Because it's dealing with trust property held in trust. Okay. And it's also now responsible for turning to you all proceeds. Has to give you all proceeds, right? That's what it has to do. And now you have that lien on them for them to fully operate in that manner. And that's what you want, right? So remember, the debtor is the bank. So in that case, we would say JP Morgan Chase Bank could be the actual trustee. The actual debtor. And the secure party is, you can put your name as a trustee or you can just put the trust itself. Okay. And the collateral is all proceeds, products, securities, monetary instruments, account entries, credits, and profits derived, created, generated, or monetized by the debtor as a result of value deposits, negotiable instruments, signatures, endorsements, or labor originally contributed by the secure party, right? Which could be the Legacy Wealth Private Trust or any authorized representative thereof. This includes but not limited to, we're going to say all bank account deposits made by the secure party, whether cash, check, or ACH, or wire as well. We can say all ledger credits, reserve, fractional reserve, lending capital. See how we got them? Fractional reserve, lending capital. That's us. So that means that interest-bearing instruments or securities created in relation to such deposits. We get that. We get to make a claim for that, right? So if you really want to know how to status correct, being able to operate fully on both the private side, okay, and the public side, and also take care of your equity banking, okay, then that means you need to be in the hidden ledger class. That's where you need to be. You need to be in the hidden ledger class. And it's so much that you guys can do with your security agreement that you have no idea about. But we're going to talk a lot about that in that particular class. Coming August the 9th. Okay? Coming August the 9th. And we're going to be lit. So I hope y'all ready, because I am ready. Can we amend the Declaration of Irrevocable Trust to include this clause? You can amend anything that you want to. Did you put into the irrevocable trust that it could be amended by the trustees, etc.? You can put that in there. But again, I keep telling y'all this too. Nobody knows anything about your trust but you until you make it known to everyone. Who knows? You guys are time travelers. You can backdate. Okay? You can backdate. You can use whatever you want. Can we use a model income treaty? Do you know how to use it? That's the question. And about can you use it? Do you know how to use it? Do you know how to exercise what you're asking? And if so, then you can use anything you want to. You can see a tool. If you see that it's useful to you and you know how to use it, use it. But if you don't, then you're just going to look at the tool and put it back down. It's up to you on how you want to operate with this, guys. All right, so this is what I'm going to do, though. And because I also got a special ebook that I'm going to put with this particular class that I've been working on, especially since to help better explain to you guys and show you some things that you need to do when it comes to private and public capacity and basically your status correction. So nobody knows about this ebook, nobody. So I'm going to add this to this class. Nobody's ever seen it. So it will be a surprise on the day of that. All right. But this particular class itself, Hidden Ledger, it does come with declaration of trust to teach you how, if you don't have a trust, maybe you do, or maybe you don't know if your trust is established the way it needs to be, but that will be there. And also, if you want to do a 508, I'm going to add that class into it. Building the Kingdom teaches you literally how to set up a full 508c1a, and you can add these certain clauses into it as well, because a 508 still operates as a trust. A church is a trust, if you did not know that. Okay, it operates as a trust. Okay, so now, the Hidden Ledger class right now, you can go to ingodwetrustacademy.com. Again, that's ingodwetrustacademy.com. And you can go find Hidden Ledger. And you can go straight to the checkout and type in Hidden Ledger for the code, discount code, and it will make it $160 for you right now. $160. Okay? And again, I'm adding, just today, I decided I want to do this extra ebook. I'm going to literally put that together within the next couple of days, and I'm going to place it on there as well. It's pretty much, I'm just going to call it, I don't know, something about human capital. So you can truly understand what it is and what it ain't. So we're going to do that and place that into there as well. Along with everything else. This is a great and beautiful class for those of you on TikTok that wants to see what you need to do. Here you go. Take you a screenshot, my great people, and do everything that you see here. Make sure you put Hidden Ledger into the discount code, and it will allow you in this class. And we're going to show you how to literally get equity in all of your banking deposits that you place into there. And we're going to show you how to set up a trust. If you don't have one, the declaration of trust class will come with this. If you want to do a 508, the class will come with that. And you're getting these 3 classes plus another ebook, all at the price of $160, which literally all classes together would probably end up being about $1,000. So getting a very, very, very great discount deal here. All right, I don't have too much time with you guys today. I do have to hit the road and go do a few things, but we will be having work sessions tonight. So if you're with us right now, make sure that you join work sessions. Here you go. You can also meet us here on the platform that you are on as well. Tonight's going to be a special type of work session as well, so we have to give new rules and everything like that. And then we'll continue on from there. We're going to be doing this every Monday and Wednesdays. Mondays, 11 a.m. Central Time. Wednesdays, 6 p.m. Central Time. It's free, so it's no need to ask. Just come in and learn with us. And we're going to be doing this probably for about the next 3 months, usually about 2 hours. Sometimes it turns into 3, but definitely at least 2 hours of class. So that's about roughly 8 to 10 hours a week, 8 to 10 hours a month, that we are going to be putting in these particular classes, right? So you guys are welcome to join. No excuses. We meeting everybody budgets from free to whatever you want to pay, and still making sure you get the discounts as well, man. Appreciate everybody that came out to the last conference as well. The Trust Administration Conference is a very powerful conference. If you missed that, I hate that you missed it, but it was great. And it was just, very, very, very powerful, right? So as always, man, I give thanks to you guys and your participation. Hope to see you there in a part of our classes and being able to rock with us. And if I don't get to see you guys, then we got to change that up. Somebody said, physical court case number, is that created as a bond that the judge and the prosecutor and lawyer would be paid for your guilty plea? It doesn't actually work like that, but they don't get paid directly, but it eventually ends up coming to them in a certain type of way. But it's not even really a case number. It literally becomes an account number. And we can literally claim those account numbers, et cetera, because you have an interest into that particular case. So you can convey the account number. We can do a conveyance as well. I'll show you how to do that. We've actually done that in past work sessions as well. A lot of people still do those things as well. I still do to an extent. Sometimes I do. It just depends. I kind of pick my remedy on what I want to do and how I want to go about doing things, because there's many different things that I can do. Would that be considered a conflict of interest? Yes, it will be if you can prove it. That's the reason why child support itself is fraudulent, because the judge has a private contract with the child support enforcement agency. Everybody involved with the child support enforcement agency has a contract. So yes, if you know how to prove that, then yes, you can literally get all of your money back that you have put into child support. And if you know how to claim the interest on the bond as well, you can also get those things as well, because all of that energy and things like that belongs to you or the trust if you transfer it. But again, I will be back later on when we have class tonight. Just wanted to share a little bit of information with you guys right now, and I will catch you guys later. Like, share, and subscribe. You can also catch us on YouTube, In God We Trust Academy, as well. You can catch me on Facebook, Eric Ingram Bay, or In God We Trust Academy, Twitch, In God We Trust Academy. And you can also follow me on Instagram, Grand Wazir _ I think it's MNRP. Yeah, Grand Wazir _ MNRP, right? So follow, lock in. We'll be back on here for show at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time is when the free work sessions start. Don't miss out on today. You will enjoy it. And nothing but love to you guys. Y'all have a great and beautiful day. We out of here.